Alright, hello and welcome once again. My name is JM, and this is an Echo League cast of Red 5 versus Whiskey Business. So, taking a look at some picks, Red 5, just as I thought they would, they first phased that Meepo with their first ban, which I really can't blame them because they have to be sitting there thinking to themselves how winnable that first game would have been if they had if that Meepo hadn't been played by Whiskey Business. And then I'm a little surprised to see the Ricky coming out again. I didn't see a lot that had happened with it, but I guess that AOE silence that also that also causes mischance can do a lot for a team who plays pretty well around it. And that Ricky played pretty well that game, so not not too surprising. The bands coming out from Whiskey Business are the same bands that they had last game with the Spirit Breaker and the Bristleback, two heroes that they just don't like playing against. So, Red 5 standing by picks up a Vengeful Spirit and a Tide Hunter, so a very different style to what they played last game. This is a group up and push around our ultimates. I think that's what it's going to be. Anyways, it's difficult to tell, but Vengeful Spirit is a very good pushing hero, and Ty just wants his team to be his 5 around him. He gets a nice 3 to 5 man Ravage after 15 to 20 minutes, and then Red 5 are just going to sit there and take towers. So, Whiskey Business picking up the Shadow Shaman and the Mirana. I'm a little confused as to a first phase Mirana, but I'm not one to judge. I'm looking forward to this strat that Whiskey Business is going to pull out. Tinker banned from Red 5. They either must really not like the hero, or Whiskey Business must really have a a good Tinker player, or it could be a combination of both. Invoker coming out by Red 5, that's the second time they've banned the Invoker too, so I I think they just have a set of heroes that they do not like playing against, especially in the mid lane. So right now, in the last draft, Whiskey Business banned out the Storm Spirit. I have a feeling they're not going to do that again, but I'm not entirely sure. I think Shadow Shaman lockdown with Mirana Arrow plus like one more heavy lockdown hero makes Storm Spirit pretty sad boy, but we will see what is coming out for Whiskey. And the Viper, that was a staple ban of the last game as well. I didn't have enough time to go through and take a look at all these picks and bans from both of these teams in their previous matches, but I feel like they like banning heroes that they don't like playing against, rather than what they think their opponents are really good at. I could be wrong about that though. But Bounty Hunter comes out from Red 5. So some nice roaming potential early on for this bounty. This either puts the Vengeful Spirit into that hard 5 or that safe lane core role. I guess both of those aren't the only things she could do. They could run an aggressive dual lane with this Vengeful Spirit in the dire off lane, and really make sure that she has a strong laning partner like a Skywrath or maybe even a Jakiro, and really just shut down this Whiskey Business safe lane. But I think it's more likely that the Venge is going to be in the support role. and that Whiskey Business is probably going to pick up their offlaner here and really wait to see what Red 5 are going to push for their safe lane and their mid. So this game, Red 5 chose second pick, I believe, and Whiskey Business wanted to be on Radiant. And an Earthshaker. That's a nice little flex pick going on here. It can go in the off lane, or it can be that four positioning roaming hero. If I could say the word position right, this cast would be a lot easier, I think. So Red 5, right here, they got to make the decision on what they want this Vengeful Spirit to be. I don't know any hero that is going to be good. Okay, that is a Luna. That cements my plan into place of Red 5 really just want to group as 5 after like 20 minutes and just push. But Whiskey Business has a lot of they have a lot of wave clear. They've got a lot of D push coming out from Shaker if he gets even some levels. A couple points into his passive, Aftershock, you know, and a max level Fisher. Combine that out with a Ags Mirana Starstorm and a max level Aethershock coming out from Shadow Shaman. That's a lot of wave clear. It's a lot of AoE abilities that are going to hit and weaken creeps to drag them beyond the tower. So Lifestealer comes out, not super not super great vehicles for the Lifestealer right now. Sure, when Shaker gets Blink Dagger, Shaker can blink into a fight and they can do those big Echo Slam uh, into Infest bombs, but unless the Shaker's off lane and Whiskey Business is looking to pick up another support here, then it's gonna take like 25 minutes before this Earthshaker has his Blink Dagger, and that's assuming everything goes well. Shaker's just not a hero who farms super well in the laning stage as a roaming support, unless he gets a lot of kills. So bans coming out, the Lina coming out from Red 5, and Whiskey Business banning out the Silencer, which is another game 1 ban that that they really decided that they didn't want. Oh, excuse me. So I don't know about that Silencer ban here. If I'm Red 5, I'm gonna look at a mid that's gonna help my push. DP, Viper's already banned out. The lowliest Druid coming out from Whiskey. Huh? Lone Druid mid, Mirana offlane, Lifestealer safe? With like a roaming Shaker and a hard support Shadow Shaman? Or are they gonna do something like Earthshaker off, Lifestealer or Lone Druid jungle, Mirana mid, and whichever one of the Lifestealer or Lone Druids aren't jungling is going to be safe lane? That doesn't sound good to me. But maybe this Whiskey Business team knows something that I don't. I think whoever they send off lane is going to be too weak for the Shaker to dual lane with them. And I think whoever they send safe lane isn't going to have enough kill potential to make a tri-lane viable. So they could do something like Mirana Shaman offlane with the Druid mid, and then the Life Stealer solo safe with a roaming Shaker. And this OD by Slavic could actually just eat this Whiskey Business team alive. I don't remember if OD steals int from the bear with his orbs. I feel like he should, but this is Dota. Let's be real here. I'm not entirely sure of anything at this point when it comes to this game. So, got Avenge. This Red 5 team has a very simple execution lineup. They want to push down towers, they want to groove up around ultimates, they want the Venge to save people, and they want the Tide OD to be able to control Kite and eventually just murder the entire other team. It's it's easy to understand. It's pretty easy to execute. This Whiskey Business team is a lot less cut and dry, and I'm really curious who's gonna go where. Cause there are a lot of people who could go to a lot of different lanes. This Earthshaker has a Stout Shield, Mango, Tangos, and a Salve, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. The Life Stealer doesn't have a Poor Man's. And the Mirana has a ward. Maybe it's a support Mirana who has launched an arrow that barely misses anybody. Shaker has his fissure, but there's 3 people up here. Bounty Hunter goes invis. Mirana's eating a lot of damage. Earthshaker, fissure comes out, stunning onto 3, possibly saving that Mirana's life. Gonna die for his efforts, though. That makes me even more confused. Bounty Hunter walks up the cliff. I'm not sure about that. The Vengeful Spirit uses her second stun there. Bounty drops really low, but this Tide is going to walk forward, just use his tank ability to get shackled. 2 runes go the way of each team, and the Tide's going to feed away to kill here, trying to press forward up into this rune. So I think it's a support Mirana who's going to be roaming with an offlane Shaker, and then the Shadow Shaman is going to be a hard support, just like I thought. So a Sentry Ward goes down, trying to look and see where this Dire team warded at, but they're not going to find. I hear an arrow that went in, killed the range creep. Doesn't really do much. I think this Shadow Shaman is going to try and get a lot done with this Mirana roaming, and just let this Tide Life Stealer solo each other down bottom. I think the Life Stealer's really good hero against the Tide. Arrow comes in, it's gonna miss the Luna. It's very confusing to me why they're not having the Shadow Shaman roam around with the Mirana. Shackles is a 2.75 second disable right now. They can do that into Arrow, and that's even if it's only like another 2-second arrow, right? That's like almost 5 seconds of disable. That's guaranteed with Mirana into Shadow Shaman if they go on this Vengeful Spirit at level 1. Or even if they go on the OD, the Shaman walks up under smoke. I don't know. It's definitely an interesting strategy to move the Shaman bottom when he went mid for all that time, but Shaman's definitely a support who needs a lot of levels. He really struggles if he's under leveled. It feels like he doesn't have a lot of impact, especially if those wards are if he's like 4 or 5 levels behind the enemy carry, then this Luna's just gonna eat these wards for breakfast. Shaman trying to get into this secret shop. The Tide's gonna bully him away, not having any of Shaman's garbage. Shaman doesn't have Aethershock at level 1. He went Hex into Shackles, but his Tide Hunter's level 3. Guess he only used the 1 point in a Kraken Shell, waiting until level 4 for that Kraken Shell point. Bounty is here. This Shadow Shaman is absolutely too low to really survive this Tide. It's going to get another right click off. The Shaman's going to heal off the open wounds coming out from Lifestealer. Nicely done by him. And this Bounty Hunter isn't going to get anything done. Level 1 at 3 minutes into the game. So, Mirana is going to come bottom. Going to join this Rasta along with the Lifestealer. Arrow comes out. It's going to hit the ranged creep. Slave's going to push. Shadow Shaman lays down a sentry ward. Everybody's just going to go back to doing their own thing. 3.5 minutes in. Let's take a look at our last hit leaders. 5 and 15 for the safe lane Luna up top. Very nicely done for her. I don't know if this Vengeful... Yep, this Vengeful Spirit has Vengeful Aura. She went 1-1-1. It's a nice looking Vengeful Spirit skill trees. Luna, 2 points into Beam, 1 point into Blessing. Probably going to get the next point into Moonglaves. It's 4 minutes. Vengeful Spirit has moved up, gets an Invis rune. Bear's taking a lot of damage. OD. 0-2-2 at level 4, not a big surprise there. Standard OD builds. This Lifestealer has 12 denies. He almost has as many denies as he does CS. Tidehunter is just happy that he at least has a chance to get some of these denies, or excuse me, some of these last hits. As this wave pushes under his tower, Tide's 7-3 right now. Moving off, looking like he wants to stack this ancient camp. But everything's kind of died off a little bit. I haven't seen this Bounty Hunter trying to get anything done on Radiant's Courier. And remember, this is pretty big implications for both these teams in terms of playoff standings. I don't have the sheets up right in front of me, but if Red 5 gets 2-0'd here, then they're in some serious trouble for even trying to make these playoffs. And there's a kill that happened bottom. Without the Mirana, the Tidehunter dies to a 0-2-2 Shadow Shaman build. I guess you gotta do what you gotta do to kill this Tidehunter, but holy cow, they're gonna have 0 damage coming out of the Shadow Shaman until it's almost too late. Like, the Aethershock is just gonna be used to clear creep waves that are coming up if this Red 5 team wants to be aggressive at all. Vengeful Spirit and Mirana just trading love taps right now. Vengeful Spirit throws out a stun. Mirana doesn't want to commit the mana to an arrow until she does, but then she misses the arrow. This Earthshaker's level 5 does not have enough mana for Fissure. I guess he had Soul Ring. He had enough mana for it, but a lot of mana coming out for this Earthshaker. Or a lot of levels coming out for the Earthshaker. A lot of mana. So I think both teams are pretty happy with how this game's going. 33 CS on the Luna. Tide trying to hide from the Tide, which was a nice little rhyme, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense there in context. Tide's trying to get level 6, level 5.25, doing pretty well for levels. Earthshaker almost has him beat, but it's just because he's hard to harass out of the lane as a as a tiny, tiny little attack range Vengeful Spirit. The Luna and the Bounty needed to really make a concerted effort to try and kill this Earthshaker early on, which they might be doing right now, but Enchant Totem comes out and it's just not enough damage to kill this tanky Earthshaker right now in this off lane. Shadow Shaman rotated up. Looks like Radiant might want to try and kill this Luna. So I think that the Shadow Shaman just wants to sap some farm after this Earthshaker is going to go back to base here. Maybe they're going to use this Shrine. Things come out, Earthshaker walks over, Shrine's going to pop. This Bounty is level 3. Getting some nice pulls off. 3 minutes, or three kills in 8 minutes. Savage Roar comes out. Nicely done from the bear. Ultimates are starting to pop up. The little green dots up on the top of my screen. Lifestealer has Infest. Earthshaker has his ultimate. TP's come up. This Luna looks like she tried to pop her ultimate there and got hexed first. A lot of beams come out. The Shadow Shaman's gonna die. Stun comes out on the Earthshaker. The Mirana arrow sails forward but doesn't hit anything, and the Shadow Shaman's gonna trade his life for a Luna ultimate. And that was an Eclipse that had at least one beam that hit onto a creep. Really unfortunate for the Shadow Shaman that 2 of those beams hit onto him. This Bounty, happy to be a part of those kills though. Level 3 at 9 minutes. Don't see Tide on the... Oh, there's the Tide on the map. Level 6, hasn't blown Ravage yet. No points into Gush. Typical Tide things. Lifestealer, going for Armlet first. Finished off his Phase Boots, though. Phase Boots into Poor Man's Shield. Picks up Gloves of Haste. Bounty Hunter dies up top. So, there's some kills happening around the map. Mirana arrow comes forward. Root comes out onto the OD. OD Astrals himself. Mirana's not gonna have arrow for another 4 seconds. Courier dies. This Tidehunter's double damage rune. Ravage if he needs it, but the bear's gonna die. Dota doesn't tell me who got the last hit on the bear, but whoever does is feeling pretty good about themselves. Luna level 8. And this is scary. They don't have Eclipse, but they have Tidehunter, Ravage, and they don't have any ults on the 3 controlling heroes, or the I don't want to call them supplementary. They don't have Earthshaker ult, they don't have Shadow Shaman ult, and they don't have Mirana ult. Hex comes out onto the Bounty Hunter as the Shadow Shaman gets very, very low. 0-2-3 on this Rasta. Wants to be a very control-heavy Rasta. Fortify comes out from this Radiant squad. Arrow connects onto the Vengeful Spirit, who's level 4. The tower itself falls. The Lifestealer rages up and is going to kill this Vengeful Spirit. The Tidehunter ult comes out. The Mirana's going to die. Bounty Hunter's on the backline here. Tide is going to get shackled into Hex, and the Tide's going to die. Oh no, the shackles come out. The Lucent Beam comes out, but it hits the wrong person. It's meant to hit that Rasta, but the Rasta was not hit by that. Otherwise, the shackles would have broken. Rasta hexes up the Luna. The Fissure comes through, hits onto 3. Luna ult comes out. Rasta wards are laid down, causing a lot of issues for this fight. The Bear's pushing forward. And the tower is gonna do a lot of cleanup on these wards. So first instant of Shadow Shaman wards used. Not great. Some alts being used. Shadow Shaman is gonna die. This Earthshaker is going to die as well. And Aberdolf Linkler not having the best internet connections right now. We've all been there. I wonder how much this Lifestealer can get done in this fight. There's currently 3 Dire heroes that have quite a bit of hit points. Well, really 2 Dire heroes that have quite a bit of hit points. I said 3 because one's a Tide and Kraken Shell just doesn't give a shit about Ray or about the feast that this Lifestealer is thinking about laying down on this Tidehunter. Reconnect from Linkler, and this OD is going to do a very nice thing by saving that Tidehunter. The Lifestealer gets swapped back by the Vengeful Spirit. Very nicely done by her. And that's really not good. Because this Red 5 team, there's an arrow that comes out. I think that was full 5-second stun on this Luna. No, that wasn't long enough to be the full 5-second stun. But I think that was enough damage that Red 5 doesn't want to do much. But it's I'm sure the Shadow Shaman is disappointed that he was so close to this tier 1 tower and he couldn't actually get wards down on it to do any significant damage. Tidehunter is going to go for Gold Blink Dagger and is just going to get mech. I think that's really good. These heavy push strats often really lack the sustain unless the tanky hero really commits into buying that mechanism into Guardian Greaves. Earthshaker, about 1100 away from his Blink Dagger. So maybe he'll have it soon. I hope he'll have it soon. It's difficult for Whiskey Business to be able to fight without his Blink Dagger. Shadow Shaman grabs an Arcane Rune, which means that he can lay wards. I guess he had Arcane Rune. Quick, Shadow Shaman, lay wards down. Get all the value you can out of that rune. No, he's not gonna do it. There is a minus on the Spirit Bear that I didn't mention because I didn't see what time he got it, but I know he's had it since at least before that last big fight that happened in this mid lane. So he's had it for quite a while. He's probably gotten at least 2 or 3 uses out of it. Aberdolf Linkler disconnects. And there are some on pauses that are happening. I haven't been paying attention, but I think the 10 minutes that is allocated to both teams might be up. I am, well, I'm not a mod, so that's always a good thing. I'm unfamiliar with what the rules are in this situation. I believe if Red 5 wants to give their 10 minutes to Whiskey Business, they can, but I'm not 100% sure about that. This Mirana's level 4 at 15 minutes. Oh no, she's 1-1 and 2. Whiskey really wanted this Mirana to get a lot more done. Arrow flies out, but the Tidehunter's already backing off. It's so difficult to hit these arrows without consistent setup for Mirana, especially in the early game when people are very aware that you're roaming around looking for these arrows. And Bounty Hunter, it's a nice scout out onto Lone Druid. Vengeful Spirit, and that Shadow Shaman just evaporated. That was a track kill. That's something I didn't talk about either. Is how much these track kills can really propel this Red 5 team upwards and onwards. Luna has Helm of the Dominator, first item. I like that a lot. She can grab something that really helps the sustain, the Satyr creep that gives the aura HP regen. There's a lot of really useful creeps, and I really like the Helm of the Dominator. So it looks like Whiskey Business are just going to give up this T1 for free. Bounty Hunter scouts out the Earthshaker, who's closer to his Blink Dagger than he was originally, and they know that the Bounty Hunter is there. The Fissure comes out, clips onto the Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter walks in range of the tower, and the Shadow Shaman eats a Lucent Beam to his face. Track comes out from the Bounty, but there's not a lot Whiskey can do without Mirana or without the Lifestealer down there. There's some heavy pressure coming out on both lanes. This Luna trying to mess with this Earthshaker. Lifestealer has his armlet, 17 minutes, working towards Desolator. Venge, 17 minutes, has Brown Boots coupled up with a Medallion. And it looks like Mr. Dr. Cooper, with the help of a support and the offlaner, gets a kill on that Bounty Hunter. But at that point, for 222 gold and a level 7 Bounty Hunter, that Bounty Hunter can just spam Space Needed in his chat with his team. And in this case, I really think they'd be right, because Luna's the priority target right now. If you can kill the Luna a couple of times, then every time you kill the Luna, you're pushing this aggressive push that's going to eventually come out back by 5, maybe even 10 minutes. And if you do that enough, where this Red Buy team just, the Red 5 team, if they run out of time, because they're on a timer, if they run out of this time, then I think you could just sit back and win. Luna's in a lot of trouble, but she pops her ultimate. It hits a lot of creeps, and when I say a lot of creeps, I mean I think there were only 2 hero hits in that entire thing. The Rasta gets a nice shackle off onto the OD, but the Mirana throws out an arrow. They're going to try and kill this bear. There's no swap on the Vengeful Spirit. Tide doesn't have Ravage, Luna doesn't have ult, but this tower's at half health. There's an arrow that comes in, hits onto the Vengeful Spirit. Earthshaker, I don't think that ultimate actually hit anybody. The tower gets hit. The OD just wrecks 2, wrecks 3. Oh, what a Sanity's Eclipse coming out from that OD, and that's what I was talking about in the drafting stage. This OD, there's not a lot of tanky intelligence heroes on Whiskey Business, and Donut can do a lot of work on the back lines if he can get tanky enough, or if he can just, like, the having tanky heroes, having tanky units in terms of the bear is not always a good thing when it comes to this OD. Astrals up onto the Lone Druid, but Lone Druid's gonna roar. Tidehunter is gonna get rooted up, but a nice Force Staff forward on the Vengeful Spirit, and they're gonna kill the bear. And the bear's a big kill. Bear's worth like 300 gold. I don't know why I said like 300 gold. The bear is worth 300 gold. The Tidehunter is 16 seconds before his ultimate is up along with Mechanism. The swap comes out, tries to save people. The Vengeful Spirit is gonna die. The Shadow Shaman wards are doing a very nice job creating a buffer. This Tidehunter has already used his Mechanism, but he has Ravage. He's going to use it. Hits onto 4 people. Nicely done. The Lifestealer infests in and out. That was an arrow that hits onto this OD. OD is going to get shackled up. It's going to die. The Shadow Shaman's going to hex the Tidehunter, and all of a sudden it's 3 for nothing. Bounty Hunter. Luna. The only 2 people who are living. That's going to be a very short range arrow that's going to hit onto the Luna, prevent her from chasing out the Mirana. It's going to give a little parting gift of a double Starstorm to the Bounty Hunter before she leaps out. And that's... They didn't kill the Luna, but they definitely stopped this push from happening. Earthshaker finally has his blink, blinks forward, misses his totem, but hits on the stun itself. missed Savage Roar, and this Vengeful Spirit. This looks like she's going to feed her life away. They stopped the Lone Druid from TPing out, but they lost both of their supports. Pretty sure that's when that's when the thinking meme starts to come out. But they see their eyes on the prize. This Tidehunter does a very nice job of letting his shell let him get out of a lot of that, but there were 5 people here. I think the Tide either misunderstood how many people were actually there, or just vastly overestimated his own tankiness with Mechanism and Kraken Shell. The Venge throws Wave of Terror forward, but the tower's dead with the help of Shadow Shaman wards, and that's the power of Shadow Shaman. There's not a lot of other 5 positions that you can get such great tower push from. And above everything, the game of Dota is objective based. Seeing a lot of kills are fun, but watching towers go down is really what gets me going about this game. Earthshaker blinks forward. This OD is in a very precarious position. I know he's got his team behind him. They've got all their ultimates up, but I don't know, man. Linkler DCs again. If the past is any indication of what's going to be happening, then it's just going to be a short period of time. An unpause comes out. That that was a own team. Okay. So the Mirana repauses. They're just going to wait for Linkler to come back. He doesn't have his ultimate up. What use is anyways, right, boys? He finally has that first point in Athershock. Luna has a Manta style. I hear Mirana ult comes out. The Vengeful Spirit is going to drop. This Bounty Hunter's getting real low, under 300 health. The Mirana hits an arrow. She was not hitting arrows in the laning stage, but holy shit has she made up for that. Luna comes in, pops her ultimate, but she's only going to get 1 kill here. The Bounty is going to get hit by that arrow. What? Oh my. I don't even think the Luna's going to be able to get the kill here. Sanity's Eclipses dropped. The Lifestealer's trying to armlet toggle through this, pike forward on the OD, and they're just not going to be fast enough to catch up with this Lifestealer who's running away for his life. He's going to armlet toggle once more, rage out, and Red 5 is just going to give up on that chase. Kill score 12 to 18, under 1k gold lead for Red 5 they were starting to develop elite and starting to develop momentum, but big props to Whiskey Business for sticking to their guns, for understanding their strengths and weaknesses as a lineup. Bounty Hunter building towards that Rod of Atos. I think that item is so good now. I build it every chance that I get. The ability to kite heroes is so good. And then cores by BKBs. And then you're like, well, if I can't Atos a core, then I'm gonna Atos your Earthshaker or your Kunkka. And then all of a sudden they just can't run away. I love it. I think it's I think the changes to that item were one of the best item changes that Dota's had. So thank you, Mr. Ice Frog. Vengeful Spirit level 10, putting a lot of points into Wave of Terror. Apparently Dire didn't want to go all in on their pushing basket, because if they would have maxed out Venge's aura very early on. It doesn't matter for Luna because she's level 19. I wasn't paying attention to her skill build that much. So there's a smoke here coming out from this Radiant team. And it immediately breaks thanks to this Bounty Hunter. Another arrow comes out. The bounty's going to die, but he tanked the gank. He's got no issues dying right there. Earthshaker building into a Shadowblade. I've always enjoyed how Shadowblades have their own meta. Like they're really popular in the professional scene for a little while, and then people start remembering how to play against Shadowblades. So eventually, Shadowblades are phased out for Dust and the 5 positions being more Sentry Ward machines than anything else. And then they start to drift away from that as Shadowblades get countered and Shadowblades get countered, and I'm excited to see the Shadowblade meta come back. So it's currently 28 minutes. We've got Luna at the top of the net worth chart, followed by this lone druid who I have not. I don't know if it's fair to say that I haven't felt his impact. He hasn't been as noticeable in these fights, and I don't know if that's because I'm not used to watching the lonely druid play, or if it's just because it's not a flashy big time hero. If I'm being honest with you, it's probably a combination of both. Tide getting pinged out by this Mirana. This Earthshaker is also down here. There's not a lot of places where this Tide could go. Tries to TP out, but the Earthshaker predicts really nicely. It's going to trap this Tide in here. The Rasta is going to come up and help finish off this kill with both of his control spells. And once again, I feel like I have underestimated the damage coming out from Whiskey, because I was very concerned that this Shadow Shaman maxing out Shackles and Hex before Aethershock was going to be a detriment to his team. But they have a game plan, and they're really sticking to it with all of their might. Benj, level 2 swap is now up. I think level 12 is a huge power spike for her. I don't like her very specifically. Unless Venge is a core, I don't think level 12 is something that a lot of teams should push off of. But Beam comes out onto Shadow Shaman, Lifestealer's Invis. They are really trying to bait with the Shadow Shaman hard. Lifestealer chasing forward into the trees here. The Vengeful Spirit pops her dust and catches two unaware. She swaps forward with the Luna. Luna is going to pop her ultimate right as the Mirana ultimate comes out. She's going to try and sit here and fight against the bear, and Linkler is going to DC right in the middle of this fight. The Sanity's Eclipse has come out. There are 3 dead for Whiskey. The only people not dead are really the people who weren't caught in that Sanity's Eclipse. And Roche looks like it's up next. Luna, that was her 10-second. I guess that was not her 10-second BKB. That was her. Yeah, that was her 10-second BKB in that fight. Absolutely critical. I think that this Luna is able to snowball a little off of that BKB. Because it's going to be just so difficult. And the Aegis is just left sitting there. I think the Luna forgot that she needed to grab it. The Ring of Aquila not moved into the backpack before they walked out of the pit. Glad the Vengeful Spirit saw that. That's why you always, even if you don't think you have a lot of a chance, you know, there'll be some times where silly things like that happen, and you're sitting there going, huh, if we had had our Shaker in position, we could have stolen that Aegis. And really only time is going to tell the effect of what this Aegis is going to do, but I know what Red 5 wants to do. They want to push straight down and take out this last tier 2. Sit and farm for a couple of minutes in Whiskey Business's own jungle, and then say, well, we only have a little bit left on the high ground, or left on the Aegis. Let's go high ground. But that is not what they're doing. They are sitting back and using this Aegis to farm for right now. The Luna pressing upwards and onwards into that butterfly. This is gonna... I think this is going to make things kind of difficult for the Druid, because Bear doesn't really want to build MKB, right? Lifestealer has invested money into Maelstrom. I don't think he really wants to build MKB until that's completed, so that his farming speeds up. So who... Arrow comes out, gets dodged by this bounty hunter. Who... If this Luna buys butter, who is going to have the right clicks to be able to deal with it? The Rod of Atos comes out, and it forces out the Mirana ult. Keeps pump faking her arrow. Nice thing about Mirana arrows is how much vision they can give. Shadow Shaman walks up, just hexes the Luna, just out of spite. Says, you want to come up here and try and siege my buildings? Well, the Satyr died. Tanked the arrow for the Luna. A little bit of extra gold for this support Mirana. Atos comes out again. Lifestealer raged and feasted, and they know that the rage is down. This Lifestealer does not have any creeps to invest into. That Vengeful Spirit, that's the second time she's done that, and it's been the second time where it's been done to great effect. Ult comes out from the big cores on Red 5's side, and all of a sudden 2 people are dead. The Lifestealer had to buy back. The Earthshaker blinks in, gets a really nice slam. The Fissure comes out. The Shadow Shaman buys back. The Lifestealer dies back. This Luna is just sitting here winning this team this game. The Shaman throws out the shackles onto the OD. OD is sitting here just casting a bunch of orbs. Lone Druid is barely living with under 200 health. And this is going to be 2 lanes of racks. there's no way that Whiskey can prevent this. Luna still has Aegis. The Earthshaker, he blinked forward so aggressively to really try and punish and burn this Aegis, and I don't know if the Luna was out of range for the Echo Slam, but whatever reason, the Luna did not take as much damage as she probably should have there. And this is two lanes of racks at 35 minutes. Denied coming out from this bear man. And, and it's not a big victory. I don't even know if you can call it a victory, but it's a mind game where you get to sit there and just smile to yourself and go, "Ha! I sure fucked them over. They're gonna feel really bad about that." But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know how much it really matters. But this OD has been playing very well this game. I think Red 5 has had a significantly better showing this game than last game. I don't even think they played poorly last game. There were a couple points that they just looked clueless about what they were supposed to be doing with that Meepo. So Earthshaker finally has his Shadow Blade and is building into an Aghanim Scepter. I really like the Aghanims. It's just because it's a fun item. It's fun to watch Bouncy Shaker, especially if he goes enchant totem damage. I he could be a real threat later on in this game. Tide has a Lotus Orb. And Aegis is down, but I think Red 5 understand that they have an 18k net worth lead. And this tier 2 is just going to get nom nommed upon. That Luna and that Tide just ran through that T2's backdoor protection. Luna finally has her butterfly, still has enough for buyback. And speaking of buyback, we are getting into that period of time where it really matters. Luna, OD both have theirs. No buyback on the Bearman, and no buyback on the Life Stealer because he used it in the last fight. Oh, nice swap coming out. I don't know if it's going to matter. The Tide blinks forward, gets a nice Ravage off onto 3. The Mirana just instantly evaporates. The Shadow Shaman dies as well. He bought back in the last fight. It is now a 3 against 5. If Whiskey Business doesn't do something real soon, they are going to be defending against Megas, and I don't know if they can do that. This OD is pressing forward. It forces the Life Stealer to rage. 14 seconds cooldown on that. And that's Mega Creeps. Tide blinks forward really aggressively. He now has his Guardian Greaves. The Earthshaker blinks forward, gets a decent Echo Slam off, but the OD just BKBs, turns around, and Saniki's eclipses that. And it feels like it's been like 10 minutes since Red 5 has lost a hero, and GG comes out. GG, well played. Well played to both teams. It has been a lot of fun doing this Echo League game for you guys. My name is JM Dota. You can find me at Twitter at JM_Dota2. And I always... Oh, and my Twitch is JM_1800. I always appreciate some constructive feedback. I know I had some real technical issues at the start of this series, so I thank you guys for bearing with me. GG to everybody, and that is my last game of the night. So, well played, boys.